The United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of North America Apprenticeship and Training Fund presents Basic Skills, a pre-apprenticeship training program. This Basic Skills module introduces the pre-apprentice to the use of hand tools in cutting operations. Upon completion of this module, the trainee will know how to use saws, wood chisels, planes, knives, and aviation cutters. Whenever you use hand tools, follow these general construction rules. Wear ear protection when required. Wear safety glasses, and wear a hard hat to avoid head injuries. If your hair is long, secure it so it won't get caught in tools and equipment. Wear safe clothing and secure your sleeves. Keep sharp tools in a carrying case and not in a pocket. Keep pathways clear of materials and obstacles. Handle materials safely, and watch out for others in the area. Upon completion of this unit, the trainee will know how to use these hand saws to make straight and curved cuts: the crosscut saw, the rip saw, and the coping saw. Use a crosscut saw to cut straight lines that cross the grain. Use a rip saw when the line runs with the grain of the lumber. Crosscut and rip saws have three main parts: the blade, the handle, and the cutting teeth. Saw teeth are set or bent to alternate sides to make the cut wider than the thickness of the blade. This cut through the wood is called the kerf. Crosscut teeth score the wood, then the edges of the teeth slice a groove. When the saw is sharp and the teeth are properly set, the saw will not bind or become stuck in the wood. Before you make a cut, first secure the material. To start a cut, place the saw blade on the waste side of the line. Place your thumb against the blade as a guide to keep the blade on the line. Gently pull the saw backward to start the cut. Hold the saw at a 45-degree angle. Use light pressure and short strokes to push the blade through the kerf. If the saw moves away from the line, twist the handle slightly to keep the blade on the line. As you finish the cut, lighten the pressure on the blade to prevent the wood from splintering. Use the rip saw to cut with the grain of the wood. Rip saw teeth are filed straight across, as if each tooth were a small chisel. Like a crosscut saw, the teeth of a rip saw are set to make the kerf wider than the blade. Use your thumb as a guide when you start a rip saw. Hold the saw at a 60-degree angle and use smooth, long strokes. Some wood has a tendency to lead the blade away from the line. Guide the saw firmly to prevent the blade from straying from the line. The length of the blade and the number of teeth per inch determine the size of the saw. The number printed or stamped on the blade indicates the number of teeth per inch. A 5.5-point saw has 5.5 teeth per inch. The more teeth per inch, the finer the finished cut. A coarse cutting saw has fewer teeth. Use the coping saw to cut curves in wood. A coping saw has three main parts: the handle, the frame, and the blade. The coping saw's narrow blade lets you cut small curves without binding the blade. The coping saw cuts effectively with little pressure. By turning the handle and frame pins, you can rotate the blade to follow the cut and keep the frame out of the way. Hold the frame steady to keep the blade from twisting and breaking. Too much pressure will break the blade. Stop the videotape now and go to the practice exercises in the workbook. Upon completion of this unit, the trainee will know how to identify and use wood chisels safely and accurately. Three commonly used chisels are the tang, the socket, and the butt chisel. The butt chisel is a combination of the socket chisel and the tang chisel. The wood chisel has the following parts: the handle, the butt, and the blade with a beveled edge. The butt chisel is the most common wood chisel. The butt chisel uses high-impact plastic in the handle, which can withstand striking from a mallet. Use the butt chisel to remove large pieces of wood or to shave away a small amount of wood. The shaving action is called paring. Use the socket chisel to remove large amounts of wood by striking it with the mallet. The handle fits into the socket of the blade. Use the tang chisel for light work requiring little force to cut the wood. The tang is the end of the blade that fits into the handle. Use the wood chisel safely. Follow these safety rules. Always position yourself behind the cutting edge. Keep the cutting edge sharp. Do not carry a chisel in your pocket. Protect the cutting edge at all times. The cutting edge of a wood chisel is ground and sharpened to a bevel of about 25 degrees. If you've had training on a grinder, you can grind the blade to the correct angle. Watch an instructor grind and hone the chisel before you attempt to do this operation. Hone the cutting edge on a whetstone. To hone the beveled edge, grasp the blade with the fingers of both hands. Lay the beveled edge flat against the stone. Move the blade over the entire stone in a figure 8 motion. Keep inspecting the edge to see how the honing is progressing. A wire edge will appear on the back side of the blade. Using extreme caution, lightly rub a finger across the flat side of the blade past the honed edge. To remove this wire edge, turn the blade over and place it flat on the stone, bevel up. Use the same motion to hone the back side of the blade. To make a gain, cut the outside line with the chisel and mallet. Strike the chisel with the same force each time to keep the depth of cut even. The bevel should face toward the area being cut out. Make relief or cross cuts about 1/4 inch apart in the area being cut out. These cuts prevent penetrating too deeply and make the removal of the wood easier. Use the mallet and chisel with the bevel up to remove the wood between the relief cuts. If you strike the chisel too hard, it may cause splitting. Now hold the chisel bevel down. Move the handle back and forth and apply light forward pressure. This paring action will produce a smooth finish and prevent splintering. Stop the videotape now and go to the practice exercises in the workbook. Upon completion of this unit, the trainee will know how to use jack planes and block planes to remove wood and leave a smooth surface. Most planes have similar parts: the base, the toe, the cap lever, the plane iron, the handle, the heel, and the adjusting nut. Use a block plane for smaller planing operations, such as planing short edges and end grain of lumber. Two major characteristics of the block plane are its smaller size and the orientation of the plane iron. The beveled cutting edge of the plane iron is positioned up. Use the jack plane to plane longer pieces of lumber, especially face surfaces. The larger base provides a greater surface area to ensure straight, smooth cuts. The position of the plane iron is beveled down, with the plane iron cap attached about 1/16 of an inch back from the blade's cutting edge. Disassemble the plane for cleaning and maintenance. Sharpen the plane iron by grinding the bevel of the plane iron to a 25-degree angle. Hone the plane iron on the whetstone to a very sharp edge. Remove all burrs by laying the plane iron flat on the whetstone with the bevel up and sliding it across the stone. Keeping the plane clean and lubricating the adjusting nut will extend the life of the plane. Replace the plane iron carefully. Adjust the blade by keeping the blade parallel to the bottom surface of the plane while turning the adjusting nut to set the depth of cut. To change a plane's depth of cut, use the adjusting nut. Lower the blade by turning the nut clockwise. Stop the videotape now and go to the practice exercises in the workbook. Upon completion of this unit, the trainee will know how to use a utility knife and aviation cutters to cut a variety of construction materials. Use a utility knife to cut carpet, insulation board, and other materials requiring a clean edge, or to mark fine lines. The utility knife has two main parts, the blade and the handle. The handle may contain extra blades. Utility knives with retractable blades are safer. Whatever you cut with a utility knife, use these techniques. Keep your body parts out of the way of the cutting path of the knife. Cut evenly and slowly to prevent slipping. As you approach the end of a cut, slow down to prevent slipping. Use a pair of aviation cutters to make straight or curved cuts in light gauge metal studs, flashing, ductwork, or other light sheet metal material. Aviation cutters have four main parts: the blades, the lock, the handles, and the spring. Use extreme care when you cut with aviation cutters. Keep the sharp edges of the cut material away from your hands. Lock the aviation cutters in a closed position when you're not using them. This will prevent injury and keep the cutting edges in good condition. You have finished this module. Please select another module or see your instructor.